As night falls, a new day begins. A day of unity.
Sometimes a single moment of madness,
Our love will never die.
can last a lifetime.
Come to me, Cynthia. You belong with us forever.
She was in a coma for over 13 years. Everyone she knew was killed in the fire.
And sometimes your worst nightmares begin the moment you wake up.
He's in there! He's alive!
Who's alive? I'm waiting, Cynthia. Keep your promise and join us, or I'll take someone in your place.
He wants us all with him! You're all gonna die!
Now!
Ah!
No!
Can you survive bad dreams? Take a stab at it. April 8th.
Drop those knives.
All those faces. They were in my head.
It's all right. Hey. It's all right.
Turn left if this is it. Yeah. It is.
Sure you want to do this?
Turn. Gilda said the answer was inside me. She said a lot of things. It was important for me to see it like this. Something I have to do alone.
You sure?
Yes.
You're finally here, Cynthia. I missed you. We all did.
It's time, Cynthia.
It's time.
You don't exist.
No. Then in that case, it's safe to take the knife. You know you want to.
You know. Do it, Cynthia.
Join us, Cynthia.
We miss you, Cynthia.
Beautiful love child, all will be in balance when you have joined us. All will be right when daughter is with father.
I'm your daughter.
Now you remember. My flesh, my blood, my spirit in you. My daughter, my only true child. Others may join, but you're mine forever. I'm love child.
Yes. Father? Yes.
Come to Daddy.
No! No! No!
Why?
Cynthia.
Cynthia? You all right?
It's gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right.
Hey! Better release some hidden aggression. Feel better?
That unthinkable kind of madness, that cultish kind of madness, it's one of those horrible kinds of inconceivable things that most people can't even imagine, so it really gets under people's skin.
I smoked cigarettes back then because I was a young actor and we would smoke cigarettes to look cool. So I would not smoke the day before we'd shoot and during the day we'd shoot, because that would put me in a really agitated state, which bummed my girlfriend out at the time, but you know, too bad. I was doing a movie.
We were happy. And we were going to make our break with the world.
I felt it was more about guilt than it was about depression. Cynthia's a very guilt-ridden character because of Unity Fields and that cult.
Come to me, Cynthia. Now. Now.
Harris is really Jim Jones.
You can't escape. You're afraid, Cynthia.
I mean, you know, that whole charade under the guise of love, you know, and that power. Love is powerful, man. Let me tell you something. Love is power. Love can heal you. Real love. It can also manipulate you.
You know I'll find you.
I'd done this series with this fellow named Grant Heslov, who's now a director and a writer with George Clooney. And Grant and I had done a TV series called Spencer together, and so we were sort of the same offbeat guy in Hollywood at the time. And I had a deal at Paramount from summer school, but the writer's strike was coming, so everyone was scrambling to get into a movie before the strike shut everything down. So Grant called me and told me about this audition for Bad Dreams, and because we would all call each other, because at the time everybody had auditions all the time, so there were plenty of jobs to go around. So I called and axed my agent to get me, because I speak with the street vernacular, I called and axed to get an audition for Bad Dreams. So I got in. I listened to Slayer all day, Rain and Blood, really loudly in my Walkman, and went in, went nuts, because the audition scene was the last scene. And I remember taking off my shirt and doing stuff. And then by the time I got home, they had called and made the offer. So it was pretty cool.
You know what I do when it all gets to be too much? I make a little hole, and it all escapes.
Well, fortunately, I had a month to prepare for Bad Dreams, so I had a lot of time. And this is pre-internet. Well, for us, there was DARPANet, of course, but for us, the plebeians, we had nothing. We had to go to libraries. So I went to the Cedars-Sinai Medical Library, and I did everything, all the research I could find on borderline personality disorder, which was what we ostensibly had, although it turns out that's not what we had. But anyway, I never really stayed in character the whole time. but I would stay in that mindset and see the world the way the character would see it. But you know, you didn't have to call me Ralph. But I definitely would take it on. I definitely would take stuff on.
Gilda, would you can it with your goddamn cosmic god shit?
He has the power. He calls us.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Bruce Abbott seemed constrained by the role, and I think there's a point at the end of the movie where he's throwing stuff around, the scene where he runs over Harris Yulin, where he got to just sort of break out and have a good time, and I think he was waiting for that. And I think, you know, he's such a handsome sort of guy that he always gets these very straight roles, and so when he got to do that, I think he just enjoyed it immensely.
Touchdown!
I think Andy had seen Reanimator. I think that's what got me in the door.
I'm exerting my will, Doctor.
I went to Cedars-Sinai and I talked to one of the resident psychiatrists there for more than one time, and he sort of allowed me to observe some therapy stuff and to sort of watch the dynamic and watch what his energy level was and how he interacted with people, and that was very, very helpful. That was the cornerstone for me, you know, getting to see a professional live in that world. He was a very different person than me, but and then it was making all of my children human for me, you know, because I think that's how he is, especially sort of tender guy, and I think he looks at that his patients as kind of an extended family.
Where in the hell have you been? It's Pesto Ralph. He's knocked out his bodyguard. There's a trail of blood all the way down the hall.
I always enjoy the physical aspects of a role. That's where I start quite often. I love to work from the outside in. It feeds my inner life a lot, gives me a lot of stimulus. And I thought there was a lot of life in the moment of realization when he figures out who's actually behind the murders. You know, they were just going around me, all, you know, just around me. And every time they come around, he's, you know, his wheels are running and he's starting to piece things together. And for some reason, that camera seemed like all of the information that he was trying to process. So it was really, I could kind of use that as confusing. And then when he starts to piece it together, I thought that showed.
No!
Cynthia? It's your decision, Cynthia. It's your choice.
The hardest shot by far was the roof sequence at the end of the film, you know, when he turns into the Incredible Hulk and holds onto her for, God knows, it's 45 seconds or something, and with his hand stabbed, and which is, you know, really hysterical, but I don't know if you've ever tried to do that or not. I'm a pretty strong guy, but that's only a movie. Only in the movies, you know, could that happen.
So I'll go with you, but I won't let you go!
You know, I just fed off of the way that she was playing that character and who she was. She's really easy to love, and there's something otherworldly about her. There's something very ethereal and something that rarely touches down, you know, and it's a great quality for that character.
Cynthia, we've been trying to locate your family for years, and we haven't come up with anything. Where would you go?
I'd find some people like at Unity.
Being on the set of Bad Dreams was very intimidating because I didn't know how a movie set really works, how it breaks down before, above the line and below the line, which I guess actors are on one side of the line and grips and electricians are on the other. And I had lunch with grips and electricians on my first day because they're kind of cute. And I got in a lot of trouble because I was expected to sit at the director's table or the producer's table or with the other actors. So that was the first thing. And then I think I was making like all the wrong moves as far as my response to criticism I got for sitting with the grips. I heard a joke called, when an actor's standing in the spotlight, that actor is thinking that everybody is looking at them and talking about them, and they are, you know? So I started having those kind of feelings, like everybody's watching me, but, you know.
What we believed was that if people could become selfless enough, if they could free themselves from their egos, they would experience a kind of togetherness.
I believe I had conversations with Andrew Fleming about the character and her not feeling up to date, and then the sadness and the guilt, and somehow being incredibly flighty. And I believe I stayed in character to an exhausting extent. I would do that, but I enjoyed it. And the DP of the movie, Alexander Grzinski, he was an incredible support system for me. Somehow he and I hooked up with the scenes, so there was an exhilaration when we would work together. It was a very clean time. It was a joy to work with. The crew. There was a good crew.
Wow. Hi. How are you? Last night, huh?
What is it?
I just want to let you know that everything's going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
Jennifer and I at the time were hot young actors coming up in Hollywood, and she had this deal at Fox, and I had a deal at Paramount, and we were the actors with the deals, and I, you know, I was way into my thing and very focused on it, and she was focused on her thing, and also because I was only working a couple days a week, I didn't really know what the relationship with her and the crew was on the set and how she was getting along with people. So there's this thing I did that was really horrible on the scene where I kill myself, which we shot for 2 days. I saw them putting glycerin in her eyes because this thing that makes you look like you're gonna cry and actually helps you start crying. It's really nice. And I thought, well, you know what? I can make her cry. And so it was her close-up, and she had said, can you sort of raise your voice more and do what you're doing in your shots? I was like, yeah, okay, I'll make her cry. So I ran up to her and I said this stuff to her.
Relax! Come on!
And it caused a little outburst, and it was not cool what I said, and I shouldn't have done that.
I think he probably was mean to me, and he should feel bad because I knew that a lot of people thought Dean was mean to me, and they thought we had one of those relationships like that. But we didn't really.
It's been one of those things that I've always remembered, and always, I direct stuff, and I never let other actors screw with the other actors and do that stuff because it's not their place, and I learned it was not my place to do it. So.
Why me?
Because you were special, love child. Don't you remember why?
No.
It will come to you in time. Meanwhile, I will come to you.
You know, I didn't know much about Richard Lynch before I started the movie, and we shared a trailer. They call him a two-banger. So we shared a wall, and he was learning to play the saxophone, and I would say at the time that it sounded like peacocks fucking next to me.
Where Richard got a little annoying was when he would play the saxophone, and we're having, like, when we do day to night shoots, and then for him to stay awake, he's playing the saxophone, and my trailer's right there. I'm trying to get my beauty sleep, but we got along fine.
I just was struck by how good he was all the time. It seemed like every take was just on. It's just, I never saw him make a mistake or have to go back or get mad because he didn't like the way it was working. Or he was just so concentrated and so professional and dead on every single time.
It's just the final break with the old world. As night falls, a new day begins. A day of unity.
The bait was put in front of me. Fox wanted me to sign a 3-picture deal. Not bad for an actor. You know, I got to make a living. Oh, okay, 3, yeah, I'm on. 3 pictures, I'm on. You know, a Gale Ann Hurd, you know, yeah. And I did whatever I had to do in the movie, the best I could do. This is not just your common horror movie. You want to take it that way? Okay, take it as entertainment. It's an entertaining movie. But if you have any depth, any sense of the suffering of these souls, then it becomes a little bit more dramatic.
We love you. You belong to us forever.
It took at minimum 5 hours in a chair. Minimum. You had to show up 5 hours before camera. That's hard work, man. It's hard work for you to sit there for 5 hours too and take it. You had to wait until everything was done according to her taste, because that was her craft. And when you entered that camera, she wanted to be represented as a makeup artist who made you up, and an Academy Award-winning makeup artist.
Keep your promise, love child. Join us.
No.
I have a respect to the director. I trust his vision. I'm an actor. You know, I may have come up with some suggestions, but for the basic part, I will go along with the director. I give him he's the guy, he's the captain of my ship, you know. And I thought he was very bright, very intuitive about things, activity in between the lines. He didn't have any beef with it, and we got on quite well.
He isn't a guy who messes with your process a lot. In fact, he's really helps you get there, but doesn't get in your way at all. I just remember him being really, really helpful and really nice and supportive.
Andrew Fleming was great. You know, he really cared about the actors. He had actually taken an acting class in a friend of mine's acting class to learn about being an actor, and he'd acted in scenes and stuff, so he was able to talk to actors. And he really seemed to have a good control of the set, and it was nice because he promised me that I'd be in every movie that he ever directed after that. I'm waiting for that call.
When it came out, people expected it to make a lot of money, and I didn't really understand if it made a lot of money.
They had great hopes of this being like a runoff like Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street.
They wanted a franchise, but you can't have suicide, getting people to commit suicide, as a theme. See, usually you have a monster that goes and kills you, right? But in this movie, you kill yourself. Kind of weird. You know what I mean? Where I think it's kind of, maybe if you're thinking franchise, you know what I mean?
Later.
I haven't seen it for a really long time. I know that it's been showing up on cable quite a bit lately, and people tell me they see it, and they always comment about how incredibly poofy my hair is, which is, I have no idea. I didn't know that it was so poofy. It didn't seem to be at the time, but you know, those things come back to haunt you.
Well, when I look at that, when I look at the movie now, I think, oh, what a sweet girl or something like that. But acting, can't really act. You know, I don't think I can really act, really. And, you know, I think that's being honest more than it's being like self-effacing.
You know, watching yourself on film is always this kind of experience. It's always like you can barely stand to see it. But I thought it worked really well for what it tried to do. It wasn't a gore film, so he didn't really rely on a lot of special effects and guts, and he relied on fear.
There's nothing there.
When I see the film now, I'm proud of working with Bruce Abbott's character. I found his character to be so nurturing and wonderful, and I really enjoyed the scenes with Dean Cameron. I find the two of them brought so much. I really was doing the reacting. I mean, Dean was incredibly funny in that. And I don't know if I always understood it at the time when he was doing it, but he's kind of a master comedian.
You want cream or sugar?
When I worked, I was lucky. I got to do, you know, David Lee Roth said this great thing. He goes, I don't get all the women I want. I get all the women who want me. And I never got all the jobs I wanted. I got all the jobs that wanted me. And fortunately, the jobs that wanted me were interesting and cool, and I could find a way to do something neat with them. So I think I had got to do some nice stuff, and people respond to that. You know, people stalk me on Facebook now, and like I affected them somehow. So it's nice. It's nice. It's better than, hey, go get my salad, you know?
I could kill you right now, couldn't I?
You could.
I just hope people go out and buy the motion picture, hear what I had to say about it, and maybe look at it in a different light other than just another, you know, horror venue, and realize that there are people there suffering from these different malaise, you know, these things. Really, that's my only hope. That's it. And that's all I've got to say. Case closed.
You've heard commercials where people tell you what they thought about a movie. Listen to what an entire audience had to say about visiting hours. This is not a trick. The screams you are hearing are the actual audience reaction to a sneak preview of Visiting Hours, a film so frightening you may never recover. Visiting Hours, rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
In this hospital, your next visit may be your last.
All visitors, please leave the hospital. Dr. Len wants...
Visiting Hours, so frightening you may never recover. Starring Lee Grant, William Shatner, Linda Pearl. When was the last time you sat in a movie theater and felt the cold fingers of fear creeping up your back? 20th Century Fox presents a movie so intense, so frightening, you may never recover. Visiting Hours, starring Lee Grant, William Shatner, Linda Pearl. Rated R. Once, every few years, a movie comes along that is so chilling, so terrifying, it sets a new level of fright. It will reach you in ways you cannot predict, because it is so intense, so frightening, you may never recover. Visiting Hours, starring Lee Grant, William Shatner, Linda Pearl. Rated R.